In the introduction, we'll be covering overview of project system. Then we'll be looking at how do we initiate project, followed by what is date planning, what is cost planning and budgeting. Then we'll proceed to project execution, project monitoring and control. Then how do we settle projects and how do we close projects and what are benefits of projects. So project systems is basically, the core of all the modules and is integrated with all the modules of SAP, like FI, like SD, like MM, and other modules like PM are also integrated with PS module based on the project requirement or the type of project. So let us first have look at what actually a project is. So the definition of project goes like projects are generally complex, unique, and they involve a high degree of risk. Every project is complex in nature. Let me give you an example. Say I am having a domain experience of construction projects or infrastructure projects. So speaking in that regard, say we are constructing a real estate project in UP state of India, which is gonna take 2 years of time for construction in its entirety. And say I want to do a similar project in Jammu and Kashmir, so it might take more time in Jammu and Kashmir because it is at higher altitude. There are other degrees of risk involved in Jammu and Kashmir. There are other approvals which we might have to take from the authorities to start that project. So the real estate project in J&K and the other one in UP is unique, right? In terms of, say, geology, in terms of construction time, in terms of approval to be taken from the government authorities. And both of these projects involve high degree of risk, right? Next, projects have precise goals which are agreed on by you and the ordering party, that is client. So every project has certain goal which we have to achieve within stipulated time, which has been agreed by you and the client. These projects are limited in duration and are cost and capacity intensive. So all the projects are to be completed within the time limits that we have set forth, and there are certain capacity or the scope which we have to complete that is also predefined before we initiate the project. Projects are subject to certain quality requirements as well, which are set forth in the pre-tendering document before initiating the execution. Projects are mostly of strategic importance for the company carrying them out. So any questions on definition of project?
No, that looks good.
So in project systems or in SAP, we have three types of project. First is CAPEX project, second is OPEX project, and third is customer project. CAPEX and OPEX projects are generally internally financed projects, and customer project is generally externally financed project. So let me tell you CAPEX, what are these type of projects and how do we differentiate them? CAPEX projects are the one where the company infuses its own capital to create a product or to create an asset for themselves, right? Government is trying to build an expressway for the public, so it is infusing its own money into it. It is creating an asset for the country, right? The expressway would be used by the public, and it would be an asset for the government. So government would be infusing government bodies, say NHAI, National Highways Authority of India, would be infusing its own money, high expenditure into the project to construct the asset, right? So this would be a capex project. So once that expressway is constructed, say in the span of 2 years, 3 years, so after that, the contractor who has constructed it has to maintain it, right? Has to operate it. So once this project is completed and it reaches into operation stage, where they generally collect toll from the public who use that expressway, we will call this same project as OPEX project because it is currently under operations and maintenance. So whatever defect is found in the expressway, say a crack is found in the road or any mishappening has happened on any part of the road, has to be taken care by the contractor who has constructed it in his scope to cover all the liabilities. We call all the work that is done by the contractor in OPEX stage as defect liability period, in which he has to look after all the operation and maintenance part of it. So are you clear of CAPEX and OPEX project as of now?
So one question. So who manages the project for these two kinds? Is it still, say, in this example, the government has the project, like say they're using the PS system. So is this managed in the system by the government or the contractor?
It is managed by the government. Say government has appointed a team to implement SAP for this entire expressway.
Mm,
Government has appointed a separate entity who has SAP implementation experience. So
mm,
it would be the government's team which would be making entire SAP landscape for the government, implementing all the modules based on their requirements, and simultaneously they'll be coordinating with the contractor to do data entry once the SAP has gone live for this project.
okay. So
Right?
whoever is like infusing that capital and whoever is building that asset, that entity is going to be managing this in the PS system.
Right, right. That entire expressway during the construction, government wants to track the project of the project, track the physical progress, track the financial progress, track budget versus actual of the project,
Mm,
track timelines of the project. It will be completely done in SAP PS, though it
mm,
would be integrated with other modules as well. So all such financials and physical progress of the expressway would be tracked in SAP PS module. Once it has gone live, the contractor would be doing data entry in the system to use SAP PS module, and simultaneously a team at the head office of this project would be monitoring all aspects, whether they are doing things correctly or not. Of course, they'll be first doing it in development server, then quality, and then production would be handed over to the client.
mm.
So yeah, this is how it goes.
Okay, okay, got it.
So CapEx and OpEx projects are generally, as I told you, moving on to customer project. Customer project is differentiated as the projects where revenue is generated.
Mm,
So I am a owner of a developer company who constructs real estate projects. So I am constructing a real estate project in Delhi.
mm,
So once I'm done with constructing all residential units, commercial units of this building, there are 5 buildings in this project. So I start sales of this units out in the market, right? So there will be revenue generated by sales of these residential and commercial units. If you want to track revenue of this project, your project would be called as a customer project
mm,
because you're selling your residential and commercial units out in the market and generating revenue by it. So in these type of projects, you will be tracking revenue versus your planned budget versus the actuals in this project, right? Say your budget for constructing for these real estate project was 100 crores, right? For construction, it was 100 crores budget, and while we have completed this project, your actual expenditure might have gone beyond 100 crores due to certain things that might have happened, say delay in time or increase in scope of work. So say it went to 105 crores. So 100 crores was your budget. 105 crores is your actual, right?
mhm,
And while you sold all your residential and commercial units, you generated revenue of say 130 crores, right?
mm,
So in these projects, you'll be mapping your budget, actual, and revenue. While in
mm.
the above two projects, you will be mapping only budget and actual. There
Okay.
is no revenue in capex and opex.
Mm-hmm,
Giving you
mm-hmm,
one more example of customer project would be, say, Britannia is having its plant and is importing, is exporting several item of its own, biscuits and whatsoever they produce, right?
uh-huh,
So that would be also a customer project because they'll be mapping revenue of their products. Say DMart. DMart also falls into customer project. All the projects wherein revenue is involved,
mm,
wherein the client wants to map the revenue are customer projects.
mm-hmm,
Wherein in CapEx and OpEx we only map the capital that we have infused
Hmm.
and the progress that we have actually made against that capital.
Quick question. So, in that example where you have the builder building apartments and then selling them, is the building
Right.
phase of the project a capex project or is that entirely a customer project?
While the project is in its construction phase, it would be a capex,
Mm.
right? Because from the very start, it would be, practically speaking, it would be a customer project because the builder starts selling its units right from the day it has been launched,
Ah, okay,
right?
okay.
The revenue starts generating before the actual construction starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
People starts investing right before the scratch.
Mm.
So we call it as customer project practically, but
Mm.
if I say that builder is first infusing its own money till the top slab is done and then pitching out in market for the sales, then it would be first capex and then customer.
Okay, so the type of project can keep changing within the system.
Right, right. Based on the stages of the project. A
Okay,
real
so
estate project would be a customer project if the client wants to map sales of its unit. If they only want to track the construction progress with the capital infused, then it would be a capex project.
and I guess there
So
are some exceptions for this. So capex means capital expenditure,
yeah,
operational.
correct.
Okay.
CapEx is capital expenditure project.
Mm-hmm.
OpEx is operational expenditure.
Mm.
Customer
Okay.
risk.
Okay.
Moving on. So now we'll be having look at how the project flows in SAP PS. At first, we create the project structure in the system. We create a project hierarchy. So if we are looking after a real estate project, so we'll be dividing this real estate project into several work breakdown structures.
Mm.
What are work breakdown structures? I'll divide this real estate project into several activities that will happen in my project.